Wow. What an emotional 3.5-hour epic finale, guys. Seriously, that movie almost made me tear up a bit. Also, it's been like, what, 4 or 5 years since I reviewed the previous film, The Two Towers? So it's about time that I finish off the whole entire trilogy, right? Anyways, without further ado, let's do this. Yo, what is up, my Cinedroids? G to the S here. Today, I'm finally going to be reviewing the last and final movie in this epic trilogy that we will cherish now and forever, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Gondor is overrun by the orcs of Mordor, and Gandalf rides to Minas Tirith to aid the humans in the war that is ahead. Aragorn must realize his true identity and purpose as the King of Men, and journey with both Gimli and Legolas to summon the army of the dead so that the battle against evil can be won. Meanwhile, paranoia and suspicion rises between Frodo, Sam, and Gollum as they continue their increasingly dark and dangerous travel to Mount Doom, the one place where the One Ring can be destroyed once and for all. Now, first off, the CGI and practical effects in this movie, since the previous two films, have upped it to 1 million here. Holy mackerel! Especially during scenes where both Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee are trucking their way to the top of Mount Doom to destroy that ring, the task that Isildur failed to do since the start of the series. Those scenes were insane to watch. Just seeing both Frodo and Sam risking their innocent little lives, climbing up to the top of the mountain to save the world of men from Sauron, taking over almost all of Middle-earth. And I gotta say, man, that last bit at the very end of the movie, no spoilers, but it almost left me breathless. My heart was pounding throughout the whole movie. I know a lot of people complain that these films are about 3 or 4 hours long, but for me, those 3.5 hours of my experience with this movie was well worth it. I did not check my watch once throughout the whole movie. This movie was so well paced, well structured, and well evened out that I almost didn't want it to end. If anything, I cannot wait to watch the extended edition of this film, so that way I can see extra material for this beloved story that was cut out of the theatrical version. Also, in terms of action sequences, in the mix with the movie's camera work and cinematography, sometimes some of the scenes can get a little shaky and hard for me to see the action a little bit, but it's not to the point where I don't think that the action scenes in this movie were handled really well. They are handled really well, 150%. It's just that the shaky cam can get a little bothersome sometimes. That's all. Now, I am in the middle of reading the problem with the book is that as great of an author as J.R.R. Tolkien was back when he first created and wrote these books, the wordings within it can get a little confusing for me. I'm a visual person, so it's hard for me to imagine what the book is going to look like when I read every page of the novel word for word. So after watching this movie, I can honestly say in terms of how the film's story and plotline was executed, I kind of like the movie more than the book, in my honest opinion. I know, it's blasphemy to say that I like the movie more than the original source material, but it's the truth. I'm a human being. I'm allowed to like or don't like something. It's part of human nature. We're creatures of habit, and we're allowed to have our own opinions. But did I say that I hated the book that this movie was based on? No, I only said that I liked the movie a bit more than the book in my honest and humble opinion. That is all. But as usual, the internet being the internet, they always take it way too literally. So you know what? Let the hate comments roll in then. Anyways, enough of that sore subject. Let's get back on track here. In terms of character development, I feel like the characters have a lot more to do in this movie than what they contributed in the previous two films. Again, not to say that the previous two films were terrible at all. If anything, I loved both The Fellowship of the Ring and The Two Towers a whole lot. The first film especially. But what I'm saying is, in this film, the characters, especially the main team, have lots more to do when it comes to the battles that they have to partake in. And I gotta say, guys, in terms of the movie's use of dramatic and emotional tone, there are a handful of moments where I almost shedded tears throughout my whole experience watching this film. Especially, like I mentioned earlier, towards the very end of this movie. Again, no spoilers on that at all. Just watch that moment at the very end of this movie and you'll see what I'm talking about. I promise you, it will make you bawl your eyes out. Just warning you on a side of caution. Also, Peter Jackson's direction coaching in this movie is always fantastic. Need I say more? The actors and actresses did a phenomenal job portraying their characters. But for me, if I have to choose the actors that stood out as amazing, I have to go with Sean Astin, Ian McKellen, Elijah Wood, Viggo Mortensen, Orlando Bloom, John Rhys-Davies, and the actor that plays King Theoden in this movie, who's also in the movie Titanic as Captain Edward Smith, Bernard Hill. He did fantastic in this film also. Now, if I had to pick my most favorite character out of the bunch that I listed out, I would have to choose Sean Astin as Samwise Gamgee. Even in scenes where he faces off against enemies he comes across, and where he has to carry Frodo all the way up to the gates of hell, Sean Astin acted his heart out in this movie. For me, he is the true MVP of this entire treacherous adventure. Seriously, give this guy an award. He did an amazing job portraying Samwise Gamgee in this movie. Also, during my experience as an audience member, I was literally cheering for these characters to make it up to the top and defeat Sauron once and for all. But that's a good thing. That's what movies are supposed to do. They're supposed to have this element that you are on this quest with them to destroy evil. People who run Hollywood now, take notes from this. Now, if I have to nitpick this movie, some of the scenes from this version of the film are cut out for the extended cut. And yeah, for some people, that's a problem. And I completely understand that. But again, does that compromise the movie as a whole? Of course, the answer is a resounding no. In the end, I thought The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King was a fulfilling conclusion to this entire Middle-earth saga. Yes, I'm including the Hobbit trilogy in there as well. Don't at me. The movie was intense, emotional, action-packed. It was super long. But again, those 3.5 hours of my experience was well worth it. I had a great time watching this movie, and I'm so heartbroken that it's officially over. But I'm also hopeful that the Amazon Prime series, The Rings of Power, would be at the very least a solid prequel to this whole franchise. But we'll see. Time will tell once I watch it. But in the meantime, I rate The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Great epic trilogy if ever there was one. I strongly recommend you to watch the entire trilogy if you haven't seen them yet. I promise you, you're gonna love it. So The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Have you seen it? If you haven't, please do so. Watch whichever version of the film you want, theatrical or the extended cut. Either way, watch this movie. Sure, it's a long one, but it's a great one at that. You won't be disappointed, guys. Trust me. But for those of you who have, come back and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Also, if you like this video and you want to see some more, make sure that like button shines in your face. That'll totally help me out a ton. Also, share it with your family and friends and favorite it. That's a very good way to show support for this review. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell right next to you so you can be notified of future videos that I have in store for you. Also, if you want a shout out in a future video, just follow me on both Instagram and X, and I will choose one of my Cinedroids to be displayed as a shout out. The link's in the description below. Also, I set up a Patreon page for you guys where you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I understand. Life is hard. But if there's a rare chance that you are interested in doing so, there's a link in the description so that way you can visit my page and gain access to up to 4 membership tiers. On my page, I post reviews a week early before you see them posted on this channel. And I'm also planning to do commentaries on TV show episodes and movies that I watch that I love so much, as well as a whole variety of content here on the page as well. So if that's your cup of tea, go to the link below, become a patron, and let's get to know each other a bit more. Also, if you want to subscribe to my GS Gaming channel, there's a link in the description or at the icon card at the top right corner of your screen. Go over there, subscribe, and let's just have fun together. Also, if you want to subscribe to my GS Productions After Dark channel, where I review mature-rated movies, TV shows, and video games on that channel, there will be a link in the description so that way you can subscribe to it if you're feeling frisky. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace out.